forms. So my students are somewhat familiar to this format. And also, they're also familiar that, that they know they can easily, I don't want to say cheat, but they can look up the answers. So first what you need to do is you need to figure out, okay, what do I want to assess my students? How am I going to, what am I going to assess the students on? Obviously, this is not a high stakes test. This will be somewhat of a, no, just a knowledge based, and students will have to be creative in writing their answers, and you have to kind of be thinking, okay, this is not going to be the assessment for vocabulary. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen, and if you have any questions at any point, please type in the chat. I will be looking out for it, so please chat your questions. And this is recorded, and this will be up on the New York State TESOL website, where all the webinars are stored. Okay, I'm going to share. First, I'm going to show you what an actual Google form test looks like, and how I do it. This is my 10th grade English vocab quiz, number 2. No, I'm sorry. You know what? I have a better one. I'm sorry. It's, oh, this one. This one is better. So with Google Forms, you can create it into a quiz, or you can just create it as a just a form. So first you want to figure out, okay, do I want to give points, which you will get here. You get the total points, and you will get, so you don't have to calculate the grades. So first you have to decide that. And then what you want to do is, what I've done is I've created into sections. Okay, so first section is always, please write your name, because in Google Forms you don't have an automatic name or an email. You do get it in the notification, but on the actual test you will not have a column that has the student's name or the email. So first, section 1 should be write your name. And then you have to figure out, you have to decide what kind of questions you want to use. So for my vocabulary number 1 quiz, I have multiple choice, and I will go through how to create these questions later, but I just want to show what you can do. Section 2 is multiple choice. Then after going through the multiple choice, I'm going to scroll, I believe I have 10 questions. And then after section 2, continue to the next section. When the student actually takes the test, they won't see the section until they complete, or they click continue to the next section. So section 3 is, I ask students questions using the words that are in the vocabulary. So these are short answer questions. So the section 2, I have 10 questions. And then section 3 was paragraph writing. So use at least 8 words to write a paragraph. The topic is our future. So I give them a list of the words, and then they have to create a long answer or a paragraph. So that's section 4. I only have 4 sections for this quiz. Now this part is skip this field. I usually have the students write their initials, type in their initials. This is just for your record that the student has completed the test, and then they're going to submit. So this is how what a Google Forms vocab quiz can look like. Now another thing I want to show you before we move on is how I am going to, how the responses will be coming into your inbox. This is the questions, and this is the responses. And I have closed the quiz, and I usually give them, for example, 24 hours or 12 hours, because my students are all in Japan. Um, and so we have a time difference. Unfortunately, I can't say, okay, the quiz is open for 3 hours. You have to do it within 1 hour or 3 hours. I give them 24 hours, and but I close it after the 24 hours. And so you have this function of accepting or not accepting any more responses. So you can close it, so the students who forget or didn't follow directions, you can just say, oh, you get a 0 because you did not access it during the time. You get a summary of how the students replied. However, this only applies to the multiple choice questions, the questions that you've provided the answers for. So the short answers or paragraphs, you will have to manually, obviously read it and then grade it. So in the summary, you cannot get, unfortunately, you cannot get how many the students got correct or not. But you do get a summary of all the scores, and so you get data. Then the question, for each question, you can see how the students responded. And this is the important part. The individual is where you are going to grade your quizzes. So if you scroll down, the ones that you have, the multiple choice, Google will grade it for you and give you a point. So the students that gotten wrong will get a 0. And also, and then you go down, you scroll down, and then now you have to manually grade the short answers and the paragraphs yourself. And also you can just create, you can give a point or 2 or 3, however many points that you want to give the student manually. And after you do that, so what will happen is that most of the students will get it wrong because you have not provided an answer key. And a lot of times the students don't answer. Even if you provided an answer key, the students don't use the exact words, then you get it wrong. So a lot of the questions will have this, it's wrong. So you'll have to manually give a grade and then add individual feedback if you'd like. So occasionally means sometimes. Why do you only listen to music? Sometimes. So some of the questions I create, I provide feedback. I would say like why, things like that. Also, then the paragraph writing, again, it's the same thing. You read it and then you give them the grade. Then what Google will do is it will calculate all the scores, all the grades, and give you the student's grade. So this is where the student's grade is. It's out of 60 points and 42.5. So this is what a Google form/quiz can look like. Any questions? That's great. Clarissa has shared her quizzes in the link. So in the chat, you can look at the link and you can access the quizzes that she's created. Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to show you how to create a Google form quiz. I'm going to close this here. And what I will do is first go to your Google Drive and go to Google Forms and create a blank form. Laura says in the chat, the students get upset when their short answer is marked wrong. Yes and no. So that's when I give feedback. I try to give feedback to all the short answers or paragraph questions, why their question or their reply is wrong. You didn't use this verb correctly. Unfortunately, you cannot highlight or underline in the responses. So when it's a regular Google Docs, it's easy to highlight or underline, say this part is you got wrong, or this part is you can correct this, but you can't on a response to the Google form. So what I usually do is I try to write as much feedback as possible. I hope this answers your question. Okay. Okay. So when you go to the Google form, again, you have to think about, okay, what do I want to assess them? Do I want to assess them for the vocabulary usage, create sentences, or just the meaning? And also what you need to think about is it's what I want, how much time I want to spend grading. Because if you do multiple choice, it takes long to create a good multiple choice question. But the grading, Google will do the grading for you. If you want to create more short answers or essay questions, then obviously it's easy to create the question, but it takes longer for you to grade. So you have to kind of create a balance between what I really want the students to know, how I want to assess, what I want to assess, and also how much time. If I have 60 students and I have to give it back to them the next day, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go back to my multiple choice. I know we all feel about creating tests of vocabulary, especially language, with multiple choice, but that's if you're pressed for time. And so you have to kind of keep your balance. That's why I like to do a few multiple choice questions and also the writing and also the paragraph writing. Okay, and these are, again, these are high school students. I have high school intermediate level language learners, and they've been exposed to this format. Before quarantine, it was on Google Forms, but also they had physical vocabulary tests and quizzes. So they are very familiar with my style. Okay, so untitled form, you'll get an untitled form and you create your test, vocabulary test. Vocabulary test number 1. Okay, and first, first go to the setting. And what you need to do is, if you are creating a quiz, make this a quiz, assign point values to questions, and allow auto grading. So this you want to create because if you want to generate points, scores. And then what is important is the release grade immediately after submission. If you do that, then as soon as you grade it and you hit like the next student button, submit button, your test will be released to each student, which means if you have another class that's waiting to take the test, they can obviously send the questions to each other. So what I like to do is later, after manual review, which means you don't release it right as soon as you grade it. You grade all your papers or your quizzes, and then after you hit release button, and then it goes to everybody. So this is my recommendation after manual review, because when you're grading, and especially when you're grading like an essay part or a writing part, you first few tests you might grade them partially, and then towards the end you realize that a lot of students are making the same mistakes, and so okay, so I'm going to kind of relax the scores a little bit, and then you go back. I'm sure as teachers we do that. So in case that happens, you can go back change the grade for the ones that you've done in the beginning, and then kind of have it fair. So this is my recommendation. The respondents can see, and I usually click these because then they can see, oh, what questions did I miss or make a mistake, and what's the point? So first, when you create your quizzes, this is where you should go for to the quizzes and the setting. And then the general, you go and then you collect email addresses, which is when you click the release grades manually, this will be checked because it will give you a list of students' email addresses. And require signing, because I work at a school called KO Academy, and all my students are in, they are required to log in through their school email, not from their Gmail or personal email. So and that means that it's more secure. So this is restrict to users of KO EDU, and whatever your school is, it will show you this sign in. And also the respondents can, oops, edit after submit. I don't do that because I want them, this is a vocabulary quiz. So I don't click this or see summary charts and text responses right as they are taking the test. Okay, so, and then you click save. So when you click save, I hope, okay. So vocabulary test. My first question would be, please write your, oops, your. And this is very important because I forget to do this, and then I get the responses like, oh, I forgot to get their name. And this is also important. It'll have a little red asterisk, and it's required. If they don't answer this question, they can't move on to the next section. This is what it stops the students from going on to the next questions if it's required. You see these icons, and today is I'm just going to walk you through very basic Google Forms. So I'm going to talk about the add question and also the ads, oops, sorry, you can't see this, add section. So what I do is add a section. So this would be, the first section is vocabulary test. Please write your name. That's your first section. And you see this red asterisk. This is the required reply sign. Okay. And then after section 1, continue to next section. Section 2 is I'm going to make a multiple choice. Multiple choice. Okay. Same answer in Google form as the answer key, but it was marked wrong. Okay. Okay. I have a question from Viviana. I will get to that next when we talk about short answers. I've had that problem too. Okay, so multiple choice. And then when you click add a question, your question will come up. So, what is the weather today? Now this part, you have multiple choice, and of course you have check boxes, and I'll tell you about the difference between multiple choice and check boxes. Check boxes, you can have more than one answer. Multiple choice, you can only have one answer. So if you have a question that requires 2 or more answers, you should use the check box. And of course the drop down. But if you want to keep it simple, I'm just going to keep it simple, multiple choice. Then you just create sunny, an option, cloudy, option, rainy, and snowy. Okay, so I have 4. You can have however many you'd like. Now, next is make sure you do the required so the students won't forget to answer this. An answer key. Okay, today is cloudy. And you can create how many points you want. So multiple choice, you want 1 point, 2 points. Okay, I'm going to make 2 points. And this is done. So you have your first question. I'm going to ask 2. Second question. What is, how are you feeling today? Okay. Great. Awful. Fantastic. I guess fantastic and great are the same. Let's say sad. Tired. Again, required, answer key. I'm going to say awful. No, I'm not going to say awful. I feel great. And 2 points, and again, done. Okay. There is the other option. This you will require the student to answer their own, type their own. But if you do that, then you'll get into the auto-graded option where you can't, because you'll have to manually look through this. So if that's what you want to do, great. But if not, just leave it as your simple multiple choice. Okay. Next is I'm going to create the next section. Add another section. My next section is short. Oops. Short answers. And please respond to each question with complete sentences.
Is that clock right? On the wall or you fast? What? The clock here in your kitchen. It's too late. It's slow.
All right.
Oh.
Okay. If you have a question, please type in the chat, because right now I can't see everybody's face. I know there's a raise hand function. I will get to that after we go back to everybody. Okay, if you have any questions, please type in the chat. Short answers. Do you think we should go back to school soon? Okay, so do you think we should go back to school soon? And I am going to create, it's going to be a short answer. Oh, Yasmin, thank you for pointing that out. There's a shortcut if you're going to create the same type of question to hit duplicate. So you're right. You can go to duplicate section. Oh, I'm sorry. Duplicate to this one. Oh, the duplicate. I don't, you know what? I have not used this duplicate question function in this the double page icon, and just change the wording near the trash. Oh, this one. Thank you. Thank you. So you can, you're right. What is the weather today? If you want to create tomorrow. Or things like that, right? You can do that as well. Okay, so but make sure you create, use the required, and then the answer key, create the answer key. Okay, short answer. The answer text. Now this one is, again, required. the student will type their own answer, and what you don't want to create the answer key because it has to be word for word um, for the student to be correct. So my suggestion is you can add a correct answer if you want the um, exactly how you want the students to answer. But I usually use this, leave this blank and give them, that would be my answer key, 5 points. And then when the students respond or write the answers, I just go in and try to figure out, okay, is this a 5-point question answer or a 4-point question? And it will be marked wrong when the students receive it, but they will see that they've received 5 points or 4 points in their answers. Okay. And then, okay, short answers. I'm going to create my next paragraph writing. And please write a brief paragraph using the following vocabulary. I'm sorry, I can't type today. Vocabulary. I said I can't type. Vocabulary words. And then create a question. So I would list the questions, library, desk, rain, and all the vocabulary words that you want the students to learn. And obviously it would be a paragraph. It would be a longer paragraph. Again, it's required. Again, I would do the answer key. I'm going to give them 10 points for this. So yes, Laura says that it is a shame because the students will see that it is wrong. Unfortunately, that's the only option that Google has right now. Maybe we can all write as a suggestion, but it will say that it's wrong, but you have to just explain to the students that it says it's wrong because it's not word for word, but you have received the full points for the question. So it's kind of something that students will just have to get used to, and we have to get used to. But make sure that when you're grading, make sure that you do give them the points. And I've forgotten, sometimes I forget, and then I write, oh, great paragraph, but I forgot to give them the points, and they get all upset. And I've done that before. I learned the hard way. So once you are great, you've finished grading, then you go back and kind of make sure that you don't see a 0. You give them at least a one point or 2 points, unless it's the wrong answer. Okay. So this is my, I created 4 sections, and I'm going to, this is going to be my test. So what it is the total points is 21. And then for the form, if you clicked here, because you have this title, it will automatically create the title. And what you will do is, now this is all saved in your Google Drive. And what you will do next is that, let's say this is my my classes, my Google Classroom, and when I want to assign it, I'm going to assign it to my English 11 section 1 classwork. And I'm sure, hope you are all familiar with Google Classroom. I'm going to create a quiz assignment, not an assignment, a quiz assignment. And then vocabulary number 1. And then please complete this vocabulary quiz by let's say Friday 10 a.m. or something like that. Then what you do is you go to Google Drive, and then all you have to do is just upload what you just created. And then first, this blank quiz will always be there. It's a default. So all you have to do is just delete it. You have vocabulary test number 1. That's what will be there. And then, so it was 21 points. So I just put 21. Due date is 8th. And then time, I said 10 a.m. a.m. And then I'm good to go. And then I have 2 sections of 11th grade English. So I'm going to release it to both sections, and I'm going to click both. And then all I have to do, and then what I can do is I can't do that. Then assign, and then it's all good to go. So if you want to assign the test at a certain time, you're going to have to, if you want to schedule it to be released at a certain time, you will have to do it individual classes. You can't do all 3 sections of your classes at the same. You can't release that all at the same time. So if I do just for one class, I can just schedule it. I can have it. I'm going to schedule before the due date, so I'm going to release it at 8 a.m. Why is it not going? Did I say it was the 7th? No. Okay, then I'm going to schedule it. And then what it will do is it'll keep it, and then it will be released at 8 a.m. on Friday. They have 2 hours to complete it, and then it'll be marked late after that. So this is how I create my vocabulary test on Google Forms. Again, you have to think about what you want to assess and how what will the students get out of this. It does create a kind of a quiz feeling, a test feeling, so they are a little nervous rather than just doing assignments on Google Docs or our usual read and respond to all this. This creates kind of like a test feel, even though the students will quickly figure out how to look for answers. And so you might want to think about, what you do need to think about is what I want to assess the students on. There is a timed function which you can get on with add-ons. If you go to add-ons, I have subscribed to Timeify Me, which it will ask the students, it will give students time. How should I say this? Google Forms, you cannot time it and then end it all at the same time. Timeify Me, what Timeify Me does is that it gives students time. It creates a deadline for students. When they start, they have 20 minutes to complete or an hour to complete. They can start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then, or another student can start at 9 o'clock, but as soon as they start it, they have whatever deadline you set to finish it. That's what Timeify Me does, but it is not free. It is money. It does cost money, and it's been I've had good, it is a Chrome extension. So if you go to, so if you go to Timify Me, oh, so it's not part of Google Forms. You have to go to Chrome extension and get it. You'll see this icon, and you will get a, how did I do this? Add-ons right here. So if you go to the three dots, and you go to add-ons, and that, you'll get a lot of add-ons, and you will find Timify Me. I don't think I will have it in here because I have it on my computer, but there are a lot of extensions that you can get. Okay. So, but I have not had, to be honest with you, Timify, it froze, and if you create, let's say, a quiz that the students can do, can only take 20 minutes, and you want to shut it off in 20 minutes so that the students can't work on it, then their answers, if they don't finish on time, the answers disappear. The students get really upset. And so I haven't had really good experience with Timify, unfortunately. I'm sure there are many teachers use it, and I'm sure there are ways to go about it, but I've not had very much success with it. So I like to do this Google Forms and just give them 24 hours to finish. And especially with me, my situation where the students are halfway across the world, it's just easier to troubleshoot as well, and have the students have a little bit more time to finish the exam, to the test. So that's why I'm more focused on writing a paragraph or short answers, where the multiple choice is just very easy. They can just kind of click, and they can also guess. So my focus is more on the short answers and the paragraph writing. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. And are there any questions? Now I can see all of you. If you have any questions, if you have raise your hand and unmute yourselves. No, any concerns? Some of you thank you for sharing your experiences. If we have any more other use of Google Forms, this is a quiz, but you do not have to make it a quiz. You can use Google Forms, and you don't have to give points. You can just use that as these Google Forms as short answer or reading comprehension. There are a lot of other ways to use the forms, not just quizzes as well. And it's very different from the Google Docs. I have worksheets from Google Docs, but Google Form kind of creates more of a answering questions kind of feel. Viviana had a question. What does response validation mean? Can you elaborate on that? Viviana, are you here? Are you still here?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hi.
So, well, first of all, thank you for presenting this webinar. I'm enjoying it so far.
Great.
My question is, so what does response validation mean? I noticed on the Google form, as you were making it, that something came up, and it said something about validating a response.
Validating.
I'm not sure what it was.
Okay, to be honest with you, I don't know what that is either. It's one of those. Do you remember which section, or if anybody can jump in and answer that response validate? Was it one of the multiple choice questions?
Yeah, so it was during it was when you were making the questions, and that came up automatically. But then it went away. Or
Okay.
I guess I clicked X and it went away. But I've seen it before, and I wasn't sure
Was
how
it?
to
I wonder
get.
if it's the short answer questions.
I
Uh,
believe it was the multiple choice questions.
choice questions. Okay, I'm just kind of looking through add answer feedback. Um, anybody can shed some light on this? I do not. You know what? I don't remember. I'm so sorry. I know I'm supposed to answer these questions, but I don't know actually. To be honest with you, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm actually trying it as well. I think after you save it, it goes away. I think it's when you're making the question, it sometimes it appears. I've seen it before, but
Okay, so maybe you're right. I'm adding a question and um, creating. Oh, and also there is a function um, that you can shuffle um, so that I purposely put I'm gonna share my screen again. I purposely put number one, number two, so it's easy for me to grade. But there is a function where go to settings. I believe it is presentation. That you can shuffle the question order. So each student gets a different order questions, so that in case students are texting or the answers, they can get kind of thrown off because you are shuffling the questions. But if you do that, then all your number one, number two, that kind of goes out of order. And if you're doing short answers, it's just more headache for the teacher. But this is another function that you can have. Okay. I'm trying to multiple choice. I tried to creating a question that creating a question, and the validation is not there. Okay, Laura is saying when you need a specific response, if you need to be a number or they put in text, you can give them an error code. Please put in a number, press the 3 dots. So maybe, oops, sorry. Wait, answer key. So that is the answer feedback. So maybe it's the incorrect answers and correct answers. This is when you give them feedback. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not. Go back and press the 3 dots. The 3 dots. This 3 dots? This one? Okay. In the question. In the question. Okay. You know what? Creating a question. I'm sorry. I'm going to create another question. What do you think this? What do you think of this? Is your question. This one. Go to there. 3 dots on the lower right. Description. Go to the section shuffle option order. So yes, the validation is, I don't know where it is. Answer, oops. I'm doing this. I'm doing the same thing. I'm going back and forth. Okay. Now this is short answer. What do you think of this? Okay, now we can response validation. Ta-da! Okay, is this what you were talking about, Viviana? Was it? So it is when you're creating your short answer, I believe, like Laura said, you can. Is it a? Do you want your text? Is it greater than whole number? I guess you can create more specific type of answers that you want the students to have. So in a normal, like my basic vocabulary quiz, this wouldn't be, I wouldn't choose this as an answer. It will be more of a, just a description, short answer. If that answers your question, Viviana. I'm sorry it took me a while to figure this out. So thank you for clarifying everything. Any other questions? Questions that you have? Any concerns or anything you'd like to share? No. Okay. Well, I hope this helped you in creating your Google Forms as a vocabulary. Again, you cannot use this as a complete assessment, but it just kind of helps you keeping students on their toes. It's because it is a quiz. Especially my school is very highly academically oriented. So if I say quiz, they get really nervous, but also at the same time they study hard. And so I hope this helped, and this recording will be up on the nice TESOL. And if you have any questions, concerns, please feel free to email me privately, or if you have any questions. In Google Forms, in Google Classroom, Google Forms, Google is very good at teacher training. So go to their website and explore and have fun with it. Okay. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm sorry I wasn't able to answer all of your questions. And good luck, everyone. And I hope to see you again soon sometime. And stay well, be healthy, and take care. Thank you. Bye. Good luck, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye. Good luck. All right. End meeting for all.